about Melissopalynological analysis of Georgian honey and consumer preferences.
So, dear ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be here. I'm from Georgia originally, but the study is done under the University of Kent. I'm trying to not be boring today because it's so late to be presented. So today I'm talking to decode the Georgian honey, and I'm a honey producer, beekeeper, researcher, exporter myself, and I know honey from inside and outside, but I wanted to find the ways to do some innovative research to find out what we have in our beautiful country. And the study was done under the Georgian Beekeepers Union, who is the main umbrella organization in Georgia. Georgian Beekeepers Union is uniting most of the associations and companies there in Georgia. And as I said, it was under the control of University of Kent, all the plannings and methodology. And also the study was financed by a lot of international NGO organizations such as MERSCOS, Alliances Caucasus Program 2, Swiss Development Agency, Austrian Development Agency, and Swiss Cooperation Agency. And it was like around 15,000 euro for the study, and it took 16 months to finalize. It's not still finalized because we have some kind of open questions at the end, and some parts are ongoing, but I can tell main things. Is this my remote?
Yes.
So I need to click here. So let's talk about the study area. So as I said, Georgian Beekeepers Union have the regional coordinators, and assisting with these guys, we gathered most of the honey samples, 123 samples from all the regions of Georgia. Georgia has two regions which are occupied, and one region which is Abkhazia, we could not gather any samples from that area, but from another Tskhin Valley region, we found two samples, like people from here who can send the samples and check what's the botanical and geographical origin of these samples are. And in sum, we tried to cover the whole Georgia, and our idea was to have some kind of normal distribution between samples. So we took at least 20 kilometers between the samples, not to overcross the pollen with each type. Georgia is pretty biodiverse with plants. And the idea is to just do the Melissopalynological analysis, like comprehensive one, and then after that it's kind of combines two research. So after that we try to give this honey to the consumer. So we did consumer blind testing, which I will talk later on. So you can scan the interactive map here and see where all the beekeepers are from this map, and find out all the topographies or at what elevations they live or exactly where they are. And we have got all types of honey from Georgia, almost like covering 90% of Georgian honey varieties, and these honeys were like covering most of the Georgian part. So this data shows what we have in Georgia mainly, but of course we have some kind of honey that was not in that sample, but I know that it exists. So next one is the methodology. As I said, it kind of combines the two different researches. The first research methodology is general because Melissopalynology in commercial trade is very used. Use methodology, and there is a German standard where they count pollen in diluted honey samples, and then they kind of calculate the relative frequency of this pollen. And if there is a dominant pollen, each honey type has its regulation. Most of the honey types maybe are not regulated, but most of the commercial honey type we trade is regulated, like acacia or chestnut. And for the consumer research, there was we could not find the open literature online. There was some kind of blind testing done for the winery in a controlled environment, but nobody, I think, does the honey tasting in the streets where they just get what consumers really like or don't like. So we kind of created this methodology where we got the results about their social demographics, about their taste preferences or what they want to buy or how much they're gonna pay with the purchase study. So a lot of things on that. And we find out after finalizing all this Melissopalynological data that we found that we have 18 different types of honey out of these 123 samples. We count up to 2,000 different pollen grains, and it was categorized under 162 plant types and 69 plant families. And after that, we mixed the honeys which were classified as one type. For example, if we have 7 acacia types, we mix together. If we have blossom, we mix together. And here you can see that most of the Georgian honey, like quarter of honey, is honeydew, because Georgia is really forested. Like half of the Georgia is forest, which is nice source for the honeydew. But we have these 18 types. We have split it in 2 parts, like rare types, where we have represented with only 1 sample, and also the common types, when we have the multiple samples. So we have finalized that we have 11 common types in Georgia and 7 rare varieties. This is the picture of the plants, how they look like. So these are all 18 types of plants. And we found that it's very hard to identify the pollen of the rare varieties. In Ushkuli region in the North Caucasus, we found the plant where we cannot even identify the plant flavity on plant type. That was only one unidentified type, but for other types we finalized what plant is the dominant. And when I say the dominant plant, in general, it should be more than 45% main pollen in the sample. In the sample, there are also significant or isolated pollens, but we were concentrating on the main pollen if it's not regulated under any EU or global regulations. So we found that that honey types, also we classified several honey types. For example, everybody knows in every country you have multiflora honey, but Georgia is very mountainous region. We have lowlands and highlands, and we classified and the flowers are different, and we classified lowland multiflora and alpine wildflowers honey separately. And we also find out that the samples we took was mainly from the stationary apiaries, where they are close to the homes or gardens, and we classified all the pollen which was fruits, roots, and pyrus was classified as a fruit honey. And what other I can say? And the honeydew, which is interesting, as I said, half of Georgia is forested, and half of the forest is able to give you honeydew honey. So we have a lot of honeydew, but most of the common varieties are popular ones are acacia, Rubinium pseudoacacia, and Castanea sativa in Georgia. So I can go quickly through what we found. So from the color profiles, we only did not do the Melissopalynological analysis, but we do a lot of physiochemical analysis just to identify color, odor, consistency, electroconductivity, and many other parameters. Through color, we found out that half of the Georgian honey is extra light amber, and we could not find the dark amber honey. But I know that even I have samples at my home that I know we have dark honey category, and the research is ongoing now to find out what kind of dark honey categories we have in Georgia. But the main export from Georgia is acacia honey, and it's only 6%, and there are some blossom honeys as well, very like extra white color or water white color. From the consistency perspectives, you know, all the honey should crystallize at some point. It depends on fructose-glucose ratio, but up to 75% of Georgian honey is prone to crystallize, and only 21% is liquid. Actually, consumers, I will talk later, but they prefer liquid honey a lot rather than crystallized honey, and you cannot do much more awareness to just inform that, you know, crystallized honey is good. They have their own thoughts about it. And in 1%, we found naturally creamy honey, which was the influence. The influence was coming from the co-founder pollen, and it made honey naturally creamy. In any other ways, you need some kind of technology or quick mixing to make honey creamy. So from the electrical conductivity part, everybody when you talk to your potential clients, everybody is talking electrical conductivity, where you just realize where is your honey range, because more than 0.8 is honeydew, less than 0.8 is regular honey, like according to EU standards. We found out that chestnut and ivy honey has the highest electrical conductivity. Highest we found in chestnut, it was 177, and the lowest was in acacia and blossom honey, 0.12, 0.14, somewhere in that range. Sorry, can I go back? Okay. Taste profiles. All the honey in the world globally are fruity. Every honey has to be tasted as fruity, but Georgia's honey is fruity as well, but it has any other taste profiles, like dominant ones, like spicy, bitter, malty, and bluey, and it is caused because in most of the samples, from 123, we found out that it is huge influence of chestnut and Pyrus rubus flowers. So next one is that after finalizing all this Melissopalynological data, which took us like half a year because it was a lot of data, we kind of took only common varieties, because rare varieties we had only like jars, and it was not enough to provide somewhere in the street just to taste it. So, and it was even not our interest. But we tried to do the really crazy, we found out really crazy methodology where you don't say anyone what kind of honey they are tasting, but 11 types of honey is placed in front of you. You just choose 3 random ones, and after choosing 3 random ones, you have to fill the questionnaire under strict guidance, and then you taste it and you say you gonna purchase it, how much you gonna pay it, or what's the jar size you like it, or anything else. Okay, really? Okay, so it was done for 152 participants, and we done the consumer preferences, and we found out that chestnut and acacia is the most likely in Georgia. And we found that sometimes, for example, if you take blossom honey, we found that it was chosen really low. Less of the people, like 20 people in some, but all of them like it, so nobody disliked it. So disliking is also important. And from the purchasing channels, it's important to say that Georgia has a tradition where they trust more beekeepers, not going directly to the supermarket. So half of the people are buying directly from beekeepers. It affects also branding, because beekeepers directly not branding it. This is the production side. People who brands it, and another 20% is getting by gifts. And I'm gonna be quick, sorry. There are some factors that influence the purchasing behavior, and the first factor is taste. If they don't like taste, nobody will purchase it. That's why they prefer to go directly to beekeepers, where they can taste it. In the supermarkets, you can taste the honey. So another is quality. They put a lot of attention on quality, the color, and other stuff. And another thing we observed, which was really interesting, was that we offered 5 different jar sizes, and they mostly choose the rounded numbers, like half kilo, 1 kilo, or quarter kilo, rather than like 340 or 730 or something like mixed numbers, where they cannot realize really what's the jar, what's the amount in it. So that was also interesting. How we can use this data? There are three things that I just wrote it. Actually, I did this presentation yesterday. Yeah, there are 3 main things that we have now: botanical data of Georgia, where you can build on latent data and cover all the territory, because we took now 3-kilometer radius territory where these normally fly. And then we know that after building this data, you can really nicely build the transhuming roads for the beekeepers of where to go and how to collect the best, how to get the best approach, where to move your bees. And another was the crystallization. I need to tell the beekeepers that consumers really don't like crystallized honey, like not even from the visual appearance. And there needs to be some production standards improved that honey is, in a consumer's mind, is liquid. And another one is that if you need to grow the marketability of your country's honey, you need to just first know what types of honey you have. For example, USA is very much they like white clover honey. And last year, if you ask me, I had no idea that 3 regions of Georgia were producing white clover honey, and we are market match. Also, yesterday I met people from Paris. They were interested in Thymus vulgaris honey, and I was like, even though last year I could not answer that in Georgia we were owning any Thymus vulgaris honey. Now I can say exactly where these locations are. So this kind of data and improving this data gives us opportunity to directly go to the beekeeper, buy for them, or from the aggregation point of view, because I'm a producer exporter. It's easier for me just to look their data, their pollen analysis, and find out if it's sellable or not. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, I think we don't have time for a question, but you can find our speaker in the front.